Hello everyone. It's good to just get together for a couple of minutes to hang out and to share some important information. The purpose of this video is to just update you on some of those things that I talked about at the prayer and worship night, especially if you weren't able to make it, just so that we're all aware of all the different things that are going on. But also to excitingly show you inside our new offices, which is pretty much there and ready, and to give you a sneak peek of what it looks like. So let's head on in. So here we are, we're in, and there's other different offices here, and we've met some of them and not others, and yeah, overall really been made to feel welcome, which is really nice. And we have a shared kitchen area so we can do drinks and host. And so far Leah's been working in the office a couple of days a week, and so we're starting to get used to the place and how it works in the environment. So thanks for all your prayers and support and help in helping us to move from the YMCA. So today, really what I want to be doing is just catching you up on some of those key things that we share. Now I won't obviously go through it all, but there was three main things that I just wanted to talk to you again about, especially if you weren't able to be there with us on Wednesday. And that first one is eldership. You know that as a team we've been working on growing our eldership team, and there's a lot still to do. We want to continue to be doing that, and as we look at the things that we're looking at in elders are really the things that you want in all Christians, but you specifically want these to shine through in eldership. And one of those things is character. The Bible is full of characteristics that's important for believers and leaders to have. Timothy and Titus, those books you can read in there, some of those really key things like being above reproach, having a good reputation with outsiders, managing your household well, just being respectful and courteous, being full of the Holy Spirit. Character is really important. It shines through in many of the examples of our leaders in the Bible. And also calling, though. The call of God on your life to be an elder is an important one. And calling it comes out in multiple ways. A personal sense, you want the individual who's going to become an elder to have a personal sense of God calling them to this role. Certainly, I remember thinking no one would ever want to be an elder unless you knew that God had called you to it. Calling is so important, and feeling yourself through the Holy Spirit, but also seeing it in others when other people in the church recognize that actually God's called you to this, and also outside of the church. Those are really important. And then also capability. The Bible tells us to be diligent with the gifts that God has given us, and leadership is a gift that God gives. Being capable of using that gift and having the right character to then develop that gift is important. Capability plays out in the skills that people have and develop. And so on Wednesday night, me and Phil came to the church to propose that Stuart Parker joins our eldership team. And when you think about Stuart and also about the family, then you see that character just shines through. If you've met him just for a few hours or known him for many years, you know that he is a man that is above reproach, that he has a good reputation in the church and also outside the church and with his neighbours. He's a man that lots of people admire and look up to, and his character just shines through. Such amazing grace and humility that he has. He also has felt a personal sense of call from God, and certainly that's something that we've seen as well as a team, and I know we've seen throughout the church. And also, appointing elders isn't done in isolation. Actually, we're part of a family of churches called Commission. I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. And Mark Landreth Smith, who oversees our church and helps to keep us as a team accountable, he has met with Stuart and Jean and certainly sees the call of God on their lives for this task. And then capability. Well, many of you would have interacted with Stuart as he's led our Freedom in Christ teams, as he leads and oversees our pastoral care team. He just has an amazing gift and has been a real blessing to me and Catherine and to Phil and Tina over these last couple of years, as they've really led through and taken lots of weight in our whole pastoral care area. But that's not the only thing that is the gifts that he has. Actually, he's played a real key and integral role in helping us to change the name, change the website, move venues, think about what God's calling us to, helping us to think about our evangelistic strategy and other things that go on in church life, and has been a real blessing to us as a team. And so Phil and I, along with our apostolic team, would like to propose that Stuart becomes an elder in our church. And, eldership is not imposed, it is received. And so right now, what we're asking you to do is to go away and pray. And we want to have your feedback. Will you receive Stuart as your elder? And we're going to open up this window. We're going to give you a month to come back to us. And so we'll close that in the middle of August. And what we'd love to hear from you for is, we'd love to hear your affirmations, your encouragements, your support if you feel that way and that you're willing to receive him. But if you don't, and if you have biblical concerns, biblical reasons why you believe that Stuart shouldn't be an elder in our church, then we'd love to hear from you too. And so we're really excited. We think this is a right next step for us as a team and as a church to help press on with the goal that God has called us towards. And you know what? It's not the end. We need to continue to grow our leadership teams all across the church, and certainly eldership is a key part of that, and we're working hard to do that. And so watch this space for future updates. We're not done. God's called us to a big vision and a big plan to reach Guildford and beyond with the good news of Jesus. And so that's the first of three that I wanted to update with. The second is about commission. We're part of a family of churches, and it's wonderful being connected and not in isolation as a church by ourselves. That connection, it brings us encouragement, support, it brings us oversight and input, as I've mentioned, and it brings connection globally around the world as we have this vision to see lives transformed by Jesus. We can't do that in isolation on our own. In the same way that a Christian can't fulfill all that it means to be a Christian in isolation. No, they need to be part of a church, and a church needs to be part of an apostolic movement, which is what we're a part of. Over the next 2 Sundays, Steve Petch, who leads Welcome Church in Woking, which is a commission church, he's going to be preaching this coming Sunday, the 19th of July. And on the 26th of July, we've got Vinu Paul, who, along with Guy Miller, leads our apostolic movement of commission. And he particularly oversees our India churches. And he has he's met with me. We've had a Zoom chat, and he's going to preach for us on the 26th. So the next 2 Sundays, we're really going to see a real big picture of what it means to be part of commission, locally connected with church in Woking, but also connected with our churches in India. And so I'm really looking forward to that. One of the key things about being a family of churches is being encouraged and connected together. West Point, or what would now be the Connect Festival, which is a weekend in the August bank holiday, is a great time for us to come together as a family of churches from all across the world to gather and to hear encouraging preachers, to worship together and to equip and encourage and inspire our children. Unfortunately, though, with the pandemic that we're in, this year we're not going to be doing that. And that's a shame. And, we certainly look forward to connecting. But whilst we might be physically distanced, that doesn't mean we're not connected. Hearing from local preachers is a great way to do that. Connecting with other local churches is important too. And one of the key things that happens at West Point is that we come together and we give an offering. We give money to commission to our apostles. We lay it at their feet. We do that as churches and as individuals in order to see the mission of thousands of lives transformed through hundreds of churches in tens of nations come to fruition. And you know what? Just because we might not be meeting together physically this summer, it doesn't mean that the mission stops. And so I want to encourage us as a church and as an eldership team and a trustee team. We're meeting together tonight actually to talk about what we're going to give from our church budget to the mission of commission. And I want to ask you to pray as a family to what can you give? And what we'd encourage you to do, we're going to open up a window of giving, and we want to encourage you to give to our church details, which will appear on the screen, but with the reference commission. And we'll add up all that money that is given with that reference, and at the August bank holiday, we'll collate that all together, and then we will send that to our apostles. And we're going to trust them to use that wisely to continue to do the things that God's called us to do. So what are they? Well, they are serving the poor. And there's many people that have been affected across the globe because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we want to continue to serve the poor. That's what Jesus reminded us never to forget to do. We want to continue to plant new churches, and so the money will be given to that. We know that ourselves, we're planting the church, aren't we, with the Youngs in Beirut, and some of that money will go towards that and other church plants. There's been, even in this pandemic, 2 new church plants taken off, one in Walthamstow and one in Swindon, and they're already starting to gather families, and I think that's fantastic, and we want to give to that mission. We want to make sure that we continue to reach the unreached. And, you know, Vinu will share a little bit about how they're pressing into Bhutan, and a very unreached area that's never heard the gospel. And we want to continue to give to that. We want to continue to give to the equipping and resourcing and encouragement to the existing churches and support of existing churches, our own and also others across our family of churches. So as we come to give, we're giving to the poor, we're giving to the mission and to gospel, we're giving to ensure that as a family of churches, we can continue to press on through all that God has called us to. And so I want to ask you, why don't you take some time, take a few days to go and pray with your family. What are you going to give? And then you can give using our bank details with that reference commission, and we will ensure that all of that is collated together and we go and give that. Let's be a generous church, giving as much as we're able to and within our means to the family that we belong to. The third thing I updated on Wednesday, and I want to update you with as well, is about meeting physically. You know, we all know that the church is not the building, but buildings do help to serve us in the mission, especially when we use them to gather together, to worship, to inspire our children, to hear great teaching and preaching, and importantly, to fellowship with one another. And we miss that dearly. I certainly do anyway. But right now, the guidance has come out. And whilst technically we could meet together, that meeting would look very different to what we expect. Right now, the guidance means that parents need to supervise their children at all times. Right now, the guidance means that we can't sing corporately. And if one person was going to sing like a meeting leader, they would have to be behind a screen, and the volume of that would have to be quite a low level to encourage others not to sing as well. We would have to do staggered times and make sure that people arrive at separate times and leave at separate times. You're not allowed to have the meeting go on. Sharing of food and drink is only allowed for religious purposes. So as soon as the meeting finishes, the idea is to get everyone out as quick as possible in a safe way and in a staggered way. So there's no fellowship taking place. And they're some of the key things that make church and gathering together what it is. Worship together, fellowship together, and children's work are so important, so vital to what we do. And so, as we think about that, and also as we think about the capacity that we have to make sure that we continue to serve those that aren't able to meet physically by having a full online service and also having a full meeting, do you know what? Right now, we're not in a position where we are able to meaningfully meet together on a Sunday morning. And so I want to share with you that for the foreseeable future, we're going to continue with our online meetings. In September, during the middle of September, we will review the guidance and we'll look again. And we're starting to talk about how we can do this well. And there's all sorts of different things that we're going to have to do to make sure that when we do meet physically, that we do that safely and we do that in a COVID secure way, but also we do that in a meaningful way, which is able to reach the aims of what we are as a church. So right now, we're able to better serve the church by meeting online. But as soon as we can better serve meeting together, then absolutely we're going to get on that. Especially, I'm so passionate about doing that. And so in the meantime, I want to encourage you. There are things that we can do legally and safely. So on a Sunday morning, you could invite another family into your home and you could do church together. You're allowed to do that. You can meet up. Maximum of 6 people, like in your garden or outside, and you can do that. And so that might be 6 individuals from the life group, or it might be a couple of families from the 3 families, say from the life group, meeting together. You can do that, and you can find ways to fellowship with one another. Certainly, that's what me and Catherine have been doing. It's been great. Just yesterday afternoon, meeting up with a family, and I want to encourage you to do the same. So, thanks so much. It's a brief update on some of the key things that we've been sharing. Do pray for the Parkers. It's a real important time, isn't it, as we get ready to appoint them into eldership. And this is a key season. We want to know that as a church, you receive that his leadership gift in eldership, and so we want to hear from you. It's important that we remember that we're a part of a family. We're not alone. We're part of a family, and the family is in need to ensure that we continue to press on with the mission that God has called us to, and that will bless us here in Guildford and bless those all around us. I'm really looking forward to hearing from Steve and Vinny over the next couple of weeks, but also coming together as a church and giving to the mission that God has called us to as a family. And yes, of course, whilst we're missing each other physically, let's continue to pray for each other. We're a church family. We love one another. Let's continue to support one another as we have been doing. And I want you to know that, me and Catherine, we regularly pray for you. We love you, and we're missing you very dearly and looking forward to getting back together as a church. Thanks for seeing a little bit about what's been happening. We've moved offices. We've also now moved all our stuff from the Odeon into the RGS and ready for when we do meet there. So thank you so much for all those that helped us to do that. God bless you, and we'll see you again soon.